Hey everybody, Ed Homewood, Old Guy Hi-Fi channel. Hope everyone's doing well today. Today is kind of a part two of another review. I just recently reviewed the Michel Technodeck turntable, and I talked about the the Belleson Radiance Phono Preamp, and I talked about how they work together. But now I want to kind of do a little bit more of a full video review of this particular product. So sit back, relax, and we'll get going on this review. So what is the Belleson Radiance Phono Preamplifier? Well, it is a $3,300, $3,250 Phono Preamp, moving magnet, moving coil, and it is designed, engineered, and entirely built here in the United States. It's just an outstanding piece. Now, Belleson started out, I believe, making what they call super power regulator for power supplies and things like that, and that's what's used in this. So I'll put some specs up there, but needless to say, it will handle pretty much any cartridge you want, from entry level all the way up to the most expensive. And I used a number of different cartridges on it. We'll talk about it in a minute. But you can see really good signal to noise ratio, really good frequency response, very good and flat and accurate RIAA re-equalization curve applied to it. You remember in records, to get a groove narrow enough so you could actually get like 20 minutes aside on a record, they equalize the daylights out of it. You know what? I'll put a picture of the RIAA curve, what they do ahead of time, and then what this has to undo to get the sound out. And this does an excellent job with it. Now, as I mentioned, it will work with moving magnet, moving coil cartridges, no problem. High output moving coil, whatever. And it has a really cool app. And I'll stick a picture of that up here, the cover page. You connect to this with your tablet device. It goes and it creates its own network. So like a Wi-Fi network in your house, you look for it and you find it and you connect and you launch it, and it will launch the app. And from the app, you can adjust gain, you can adjust capacitance, you can adjust the resistance, you can change from moving magnet to moving coil. It makes it super simple. No dip switch, no jumpers. You don't have to open it up. It's really, really easy. And you can change stuff on the fly. So let's say you get a new cartridge, and let's say it's a moving magnet cartridge. And of course, they're all, at 47,000 ohms, but you might want to change the impedance, and you can run through it as you're listening to it and find the best sound you want and kind of lock that one in. So I think that's really cool. The app is really neat. This has an amazingly quiet noise floor. It really does. It is very simple. It only has, and we're going to take a look at the front, the back, and I'm going to go inside for you on this one. It has a single set of single-ended inputs. So you got one RCA in, one RCA out. It does have a ground lug. It does, and you'll see on the back, there's a little button you can push to change grounding, and that was a big help. Brian from Belleson helped me with that one because I was getting some noise. The Michel Technodeck turntable that I had in, that you saw previous to this, doesn't have a ground lead on it. It's just RCA cables, and it's grounded through the RCA cables. Well, you got to let this thing know. Any Phono Preamp's going to have an issue with it. You're going to need to let it know. Really, really nice. So it uses some really cool technology. It is fully differential inputs. It is direct coupled for the deep, tight bass. It has very low distortion, custom discrete op amps, and you'll see that when we look inside. It also uses what custom optically isolated octal switches. I don't know what that is. If I can find out, I'll put a definition down here. And again, it uses their super power regulator power supply. This thing is just dead quiet, really nice. So I used it with a lot of different turntables and a lot of different cartridges, and let's talk about that next. Well, here we are looking at the front panel of the Belleson Radiance. There's nothing to see other than a nice graphic and the product's name itself. The case itself is beautiful, CNC machined out of aluminum. You'll see when we open it up inside, but let's do this. Let's spin it around and look at the back right now. Well, here we are looking at the back of the Belleson Radiance. Obviously, we've got an IEC power socket and fuse holder. Our antenna for connecting to its network. It does set up a web browser you can connect to with your device and then control it from there. On-off switch, that will illuminate when on. good quality binding posts for ground cable, inputs and outputs, inputs on this side, outputs on that side. And then in here is a little switch to change grounding functions. And I found that I was getting some noise, and then I talked to Brian at Belleson, and he told me to push the button, and everything went away, and it was silent and just perfect. And again, the casework on this is beautiful. The RCA connectors, when we see inside, they're actually really, really pretty and very well executed. So anyway, that is the back of the Belleson Radiance Phono Preamp. Let's open it up, look inside. Well, here we are looking at the inside of the Belleson Radiance Phono Preamp. Now, underneath this metallic shield is the power supply. Belleson, I think, started in business making power supply regulators. So they use their own, what they call super power supply regulators. The idea is to bring the AC voltage in and to put out completely ripple-free, distortion-free, high current, consistent voltage DC to the rest of the unit itself. Now, they use use custom discrete amplifiers inside the Radiance, and they call them top amps. And they have discrete JFET high impedance fully differential input stage, and then the AB combination bipolar plus MOSFET diamond buffer output stage to drive capacitive loads without oscillations. Remember, cartridges are capacitive loads, they're not resistive loads. So this can provide up to 70 milliamps of output current. As a matter of fact, if you wanted to, you could connect a pair of headphones directly up to the output side of this, and it would drive them without any trouble. So it means you can use whatever cable you want to. Cable lengths aren't really an issue. This isn't balanced, but single-ended, so you can run long cable lengths if you want to. And the other nice thing too is you can control all of this from the Belleson Radiance application on your device, and I'll show you that in just a second. So anyway, let's button this up. We'll go back in the studio and we'll talk more about it and how I used it with the Michelle Techno Deck turntable. So to facilitate ease of use with any cartridge or turntable you're going to use, again, you can use that app and it does a really good job. All the inputs on this are balanced with high impedance and very low noise. Even the highest gain settings, the noise level stay well below the noise floor of your records. Remember, LPs typically have a higher noise floor than anything, obviously anything in digital. The Radiance uses custom switching system with 40 optically isolated analog switches to manage all the settings cleanly, again, from changing the settings in the app and so forth. I tested it with the Michelle Techno Deck, as you know. I tested it with the Goldring E3 cartridge, as you know. I also tested it with my Fluence RT85 using my AT-VM 540ML moving magnet cartridge and my AT-OC9XEN moving coil cartridge. And I also dragged out of the archives, I have a vintage 1980s Audio-Technica AT125 LC cartridge, and that's a linear contact stylus. To put that into perspective, the replacement stylus alone right now I think is $750 or $800 just for the needle. So very good. This thing shined. I used the records, and I mentioned the records I used, and again, this is going to be uploaded and released exactly the same time as the Michelle Techno Deck turntable. So I talked about the records I used from Charlie's Penthouse in that particular video, and I'm not going to belabor the point. Anyway, this is an absolutely outstanding Phono Preamp. Dead quiet, beautiful dynamics, beautiful it allows the cartridge to really shine. So I thought it performed best. The E3 from Goldring is a decent cartridge. It's not amazing. It's $189. I really, for moving magnets, my favorite so far is the VM 540ML that I own, and that's about, I don't know, if maybe $300, something like that. And then for moving coil, I only have the AT-OC9XEN, which is, I think at $400 or $500, is an absolutely outstanding bargain in moving coil. This Phono Preamp let those cartridges absolutely shine. And they sounded better than I've ever heard them, without question. And I have a couple of other standalone Phono Preamps, but nothing on a par with this. Just absolutely excellent. It was dead quiet. It added nothing. I thought from a frequency response standpoint, this was super clean and super accurate. I think because it has a super accurate RIAA curve applied to the equalization, just beautiful. Imaging was wonderful. Bass was very deep. The AT-OC9XEN moving coil does a really good job with bass, and it was just it was deep and very tight and very controlled and very nuanced. There was just really good texture in the bass. especially because I was listening to a lot of acoustic, old analog recordings that were not digitally mastered. They were analog. They may have been digitally remastered, but they weren't ruined by the remastering process. And this just did an excellent job. I felt, especially the stuff recorded at Charlie's Penthouse, that's a nightclub, and it's a very, it's a live venue. It's there guys are on stage. You could hear that room really well. You could hear, if someone dropped the spoon, you could hear it clearly. This resolved very great detail. Now, using some classical recordings that I have, I felt like I could easily follow instruments in crescendos. If I wanted to follow a violin, or I wanted to follow the piccolo or the oboe or whatever, I could pull it out of that, the mass of instruments playing in a crescendo, and I could follow it very easily. This is a stellar piece. High frequencies were beautiful, not crazy, scratchy high like some phono preamps can overemphasize upper frequencies. This was just smooth throughout. I felt like voices were beautifully rendered, male, female, didn't matter. On a lot of the older jazz recordings, the drum kits just sounded so natural. Everything sounded like it was supposed to. And I can't give it higher praise than that. I don't think, this didn't get in the way of anything. It just let the turntable, cartridge, and record give you everything it had to give, and it didn't stand in the way, and it did a beautiful job of handling those signals. So anyway, that is the Belleson Radiance Phono Preamp. Highly recommend it. Well, hopefully you enjoyed that video. Hopefully you'd be willing to give me a like and your subscription. I'd like to thank my members and my viewers and my subscribers a great deal. You guys have been wonderful to me. Thank you so much. There will be a link to Belleson Engineering. I don't have any affiliation with them, but there'll be a link to their webpage if you want to find out more information. And there is a ton of technical information in there. I just kind of glanced over it, or just kind of glossed over it, I should say, but they do some amazing engineering there, just amazing. And when you looked inside, you saw that. It's just beautifully constructed and really well done. So anyway, there'll be a link to the Belleson Engineering website. There will also be a link to Charlie's Penthouse if you're interested in any of the records I use. Again, I'll refer you back to the Michelle Techno Deck video, which released at the same time as this, that I specifically talked about those records there. There will be a membership link in the pinned comment. Oh, you know what? I'll put the web link to Belleson in the pinned comment, as well as the video description. There are some affiliate links in there. You guys know the drill on that. There's a link to the community post playlist. I encourage you to check that out. Please comment. Let me know. Where are you at on your vinyl game? Are you in the market for something as upscale as this? Because this is magnificent. I think you could put this with any really good high-end, well-engineered turntable and get beautiful results without any question. So anyway, let me know your thoughts about that. I think that's everything. Please like, subscribe, comment. You can follow me on Instagram. Occasionally I put stuff up there. And I apologize, I don't respond to a lot of Instagram stuff. If you want to ask me questions, please do so in the email link in the video description. I think that's everything. Please like, subscribe, comment. I think I said that already. My name is Ed Homewood. This is the Old Guy Hi-Fi channel. And you know what I'm going to tell you? It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to some beautiful music, maybe some wonderful vinyl through a great phono preamp like the Belleson Radiance, and just relax and enjoy the balance of your day. Thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it.